Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Family by Design with Kent and Liz. Hey, this is a really great topic that we jump into that is really helpful, beneficial. If you've got a man in your life, a father in your life, a husband, this would really be beneficial for him to listen to. And we just get into talking about the importance and the power of being present. So be blessed as you listen. Power of being present. This is a great thing for us to discuss because of the world that we live in particular the generation that is at hand. And we say generation, it's really a combination of generations, but so like the young millennials, the old Gen Zers, kind of in that age group, like those that are that age, they have been raised being the most fatherless generation for any generation where the fathers were not at war.
That's true.
And so it's like it's never good that men have to go to war, but there's something great about when men are doing something, highly productive for the family, for their country. And if they're absent in that sense, it's like they're doing something virtuous. But what's happened with the younger generation, I'm just saying, kind of using that as a frame of reference as far as the ages, what's happened is that they have not been at war, but they haven't been present. And I remember being at a funeral, actually, of a guy that was a friend of mine when I was real little. We were buddies. And when he passed on, his mom spoke at the funeral, and she said one of the most profound things to me because he was a good dad, he was a good husband, he was a good provider, all of that. And one of the things about him that made him a good dad is that when he was home, he was there with his kids. And she said, his name was John, and she said, my son John was a good dad. And she said, let me tell you, son, there's probably 1,000 people at this funeral. It was something. She said, my son was a good father because he was present. And she said, men, dads, be present. When you're home, be home with your kids.
Right.
And that was very impactful.
Can you... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, because you can be there and not really be there.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that, and this is true for moms and dads, but it's more true probably for dads, I think, than moms. Maybe, I don't know, it's important for both of them to be present when they're there. But it's especially important for dads to be involved with their kids mentally, emotionally. Like, it's not enough to bring home a paycheck and to put a roof over their head. That's not all there is to parenting. That's not all there is to being a father.
That's not really a relationship.
Yeah, it's not. We're not meant to, we're not, we don't just donate our sperm and then make sure that they, make it till they're 18. Like, that's great if you provide for your family. That is important. It's very important, but it's not the only important thing. There are things that fathers deposit into their children that will cause them to be very productive adults. And one of the things I'm absolutely convinced of is that the confidence that a person carries through their life comes from the way that they were raised by their father. I'm not saying it can only come through there, but I'm saying primarily when you have a dad that is present, is strong, and invests into his kids, it does something in them it's supernaturally natural. It's the way that God designed it that causes them to say, I'm going to rise up and I'm going to move forward. And it keeps them from feeling inhibited by anything in this life because it's like the leader, my dad, is on my side and he thinks well of me. I'm going to think well of me and I'm going to move forward. Like, none of that is really probably processed through, but it is a reality that's there.
Yeah, that's a good reality.
So dads don't just need to be present. They need to be present. They should play games with their kids when they're little. They should roll around with them. They should play baseball with them. They should, if you got a girl, dance with her, play house with her, whatever. Like, be present. And it's not that it's every day, all the time, full on, like, life is life. But when you invest into your kids, you're going to, and they and other people will reap the rewards when they get older. But you got to be present.
That's right. I think it's too, like you said, it's not about always doing this all the time, but it's about taking those moments to really engage with your children at that time. And it's not engaging in things that you want to do, but it's being very intentional about engaging in things that matter to them.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, they feel seen and known. And everybody wants to be seen and known, especially by a father, especially, like you said, by the leader of a house. I was thinking, what would it look like for a leader of like this big thing? I was like kind of putting myself in this place, that a leader, say, of the country, and if you were recognized on a continual basis by that one person. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying like recognize like that people knew that he knew you, but you knew
That he
that
knew you.
he
Yeah,
knew
right.
you, what
Right.
that would do
I mean,
for you.
What if the president called you every day?
Right.
Right. What if the pastor of the church you go to called you every day? That's not a reality for those things necessarily to happen, but it is a reality for a dad to be in touch with his kids.
Right. And I think that's so powerful in that moment, that it just, what you said, it boosts this confidence that the person that is supposed to be present and very in tune to your life is present
Yeah.
and tuned into your life. And that makes a difference in how you carry yourself and how confident you are in doing the things that it is that you go about doing, because you can come back to this place like this valuable person. Because whether or not we think about this, in general, kids, they put a lot of emphasis and value on their father.
Yeah.
And
It's an inherent
yeah, it's
inherent like, I don't know, a characteristic, but just a thing that happens. They care. People care what their dads think about them.
yes.
I think more than what even their moms, and I can't explain that, but I believe that. I think that. I mean, I think they care what both their parents think when they're young, especially when they're young. But there's something about when they have the affirmation from a father. I'm convinced that when it's actually a fad of, it's more than a fad. It is a real serious identity crisis in our country, but it's also become a fad to, question your sexuality. And, like, it seems like everything's gay. I'm like, how's everything gay? And these people that are, transitioning from male to female or female to male. I mean, it really is lunacy. But where does that stem from? And there's not just a correlation, but a causation between the fatherlessness and the broken identity. Because all those things that I just said, those are all issues of identity, broken identity. People have a broken identity, sexually speaking, like in their sexuality, because they have a broken identity on the inside.
Right.
And why is that? Why is it there? I think it is absolutely caused by the lack of fathers that are involved to bring the affirmation that people need. And I'm not saying that people couldn't have a chemical imbalance or that people couldn't have, different things going on, like with it demonically or whatever. But basically speaking, and we're talking about the extreme vast majority of people, don't just go, well, I mean, as far as the ones that are doing this, they don't just go, well, I feel like I'm a gay person. No, there's something broken in them that's making them think that way, because men are designed to be attracted to women and women are designed to be attracted to men. And men that have certain body parts, it is not normal to want to chop those body parts off and replace them with women body parts, and vice versa with women. Why is there this? I mean, when you think about how degraded people are on the inside to get to that point, I mean, that's a level, I got to be honest with you, I can't understand. Why has it gotten to that point? They are not affirmed as human beings. And then to go further, they're definitely not affirmed in who they are in Christ. But if you just have, even if you take God out of the picture, which of course we would never do, but just for the sake of making a point at the moment, even if you're not talking about it from a Christian perspective, just an earthly, natural perspective, when you have a caring father that's there, it does something in them to know that they're okay. It's the measure of safety and protection that often gets overlooked that fathers are supposed to do. Like fathers often think about, when we think about like protecting their family. Like if you could be in a room full of guys, I could be like, guys, you're in charge of protecting your family. I mean, we immediately go to like, Rambo strapping on the headband, having a big Bowie knife on our side and carrying a machine gun. Like that sounds awesome. Well, the odds of most people having an attacker come into their home are pretty slim to none. And, praise God, if it happens, I think we're well prepared. And so guys tend to think like that. But as far as like bringing protection to their kids, it's more about protecting their identity than anything else. And the way that it gets protected is when it gets so strong on the inside and they become so confident because of all the affirmation, then they become unshakable, that even though all the other kids are saying they're gay, they don't feel the need to find some kind of an identity because they already have a strong identity on the inside.
So, yeah.
And this comes from fathers more than anything else.
Right. So basically, kind of even what I'm hearing a little bit is that if fathers would emotionally connect with their children. And so, you kind of even have a generation maybe of men who learned that if you were emotional in any sense, that you're weak.
Yeah.
And
right.
So if I show any emotion, and especially like words of affirmation, then I'm going to be considered weak, when it's not weak to emotionally connect with your kids and say, I love you and I'm proud of you. And I'm so glad that you are my son. And I'm so glad that you are my daughter.
There's a lot of parents that, especially dads, that don't know how to look at their kids and say, hey, I love you.
Yeah. Why
you have to break that barrier.
Why do you think that is?
I don't really know. Guys and this is proof. I heard this years ago, and at first when I heard it, my head went tilt a little bit, and then I realized later it's very true. Guys are not strong emotionally. They're strong physically. Women are not strong physically, not compared to men anyways, but they are strong emotionally. And most people wouldn't think that because they'd be like, oh, women, they'll cry at the drop of a hat. Actually, the deal is that women are strong emotionally, and they're willing to be more vulnerable because they're strong. Because men are not as strong emotionally, they're less willing to be vulnerable. And so it feels vulnerable, especially if you didn't grow up in a house hearing, hey, I love you, and I'm rooting for you, and you're awesome. I care for you. Come here and hug me. Like, if that was not part of how you grew up, then it could be hard to break through that. But I think that it's difficult for men because it's a place of vulnerability. When you tell somebody, I love you, you run the risk of them
not
loving you back, or not saying that they love you back. And men just tend to they tend to pull away from those things because it's like something they don't have strength in, whereas they do have strength in other things. I mean, you can pull up videos all day long of guys doing physical things that are just stupid, and they're not afraid. They're not afraid to do it.
True.
I remember seeing a picture of a little boy, and he was standing on top of a really steep hill with a skateboard, and he was too little to be standing there with a skateboard. And at the bottom, and I don't know if it was photoshopped or not, but it brought out a great point. It said at the bottom, the reason why little boys need parents. And we know this from raising boys in particular, that they're typically not really afraid of a whole lot, like physically. And I'm not saying that they don't have any boundaries, but I mean, they're willing to do stuff that girls won't do.
Right.
But when it comes to things emotionally, look at how little girls are versus little boys. Girls will be like, let's play house. Oh, I love you. Let's make a family together. And the boys are more like, move over, Barbie, you know,
with their trucks.
yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that is just kind of the bare nature of men and women. But men have to learn how to break past the barrier when they get older, and they need to play house. They need to play house when they get older, right?
Right.
And be able to. This isn't about them getting in touch with their feminine side. Like that's not what I'm saying here. But to be vulnerable emotionally, relationally, and when you do that, it has a way of ministering to your family that I don't think you can any other way.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
It's the power of being present. I mean, it's not just being present with the paycheck. It's being present with the paycheck and playing house with your daughter or daughters and playing guns or fishing or hunting or sports with your sons, whatever it is. It's being present and all of those things. And when they go through difficult things and they're growing and they're maturing, and especially when they hit puberty, and you know, are you there and present with them, or have you backed off? A lot of young men lose their way, and young women lose their way because
that's very true.
Right around the time of puberty, when they get the most awkward, instead of parents pressing in
to the awkward
and honor to the awkward, and with the awkward, they actually pull away because they're not sure what to do with it. Well, wait a second, you're their parent. You have to be the one to come in and help them navigate
and go
this.
first.
Go first. Listen. When all my boys, I have one left to have the, you know, birds and bees conversation, or the deer and the fishes is what I call it. I've got one left to have, you know, like to really break through with those specifics of what that looks like. But the older three will all tell you is one of the most awkward things that they ever experienced in their life. And it was awkward for me too, but I'm like, I'm not going to be the dad who's unwilling to talk about the body parts of the male and the female and how it works and what it looks like and why God created us like he did and why we have hormones and how and what we're supposed to do with them and how we're supposed to learn how to conduct our vessels with honor. Like, I'm not going to be the dad who refuses to talk about that stuff because I don't want to be vulnerable with my children. I'm more mature than that as a dad, and dads have to grow up and be mature and talk about those things, right?
So, you know, even what you're saying here too is like, it's just growing your capacity to emotionally be able to be present. And I'm thinking too, like a lot of times with the weight of the responsibility of being a man and having to care for your household and take care of all the things and things I can't even imagine that men have to carry, that we don't as women have to carry, just the thinking. Emotionally, I feel like that could be really heavy and weighty. And it's like, I don't even have a capacity for more than that. So you have to be really willing to grow that capacity. Because then I'm even thinking, okay, we have 4 kids and they're all at different ages and they all have different personalities and they all need maybe something a little bit different from you. So as moms, you know, we just kind of grow. That's like emotionally, we have the capacity to do that. In general.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easier for moms than dads is a great point.
And so I could see men saying, well, like, I have all these kids and they all like different things, and how I relate to one isn't how I can relate to the other, and I find it easier to relate to this one because maybe they're more like me and they enjoy things that I like, but this other one, where do I connect with them? And it could feel so overwhelming that I don't know how, but it's like this thing that if you, like you're saying, push through and be very intentional, and yes, it does take a lot of emotion for men to be able to do this, but as you grow that capacity, then even when they get into that teenage very awkward stage, you'll have the capacity because you started maybe when they were little at growing, and then it makes it even easier into the adult stage where, you know, you're not having to parent them, but you get to be a friend, but you have this relatability because you are willing to grow that capacity when they were younger. So this means it takes work, basically, on men's part. And
it's the parents laying up for the children.
Yeah, and the men think...
We have to conform to... We want our... I'm sorry, I totally interrupted you.
You sure did.
my apologies. But let me just say, because you're like, I'm jonesing over here because I want to say some things about what you're
But
saying.
I had a really good something that I was going to say, but
It'll
now
come
I
back
don't
to you.
remember.
Lord help her. Forgive me, Lord help her.
It's fine. Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, because you work and men think like I worked and that is the emotional capacity that I have. And that's all I think actually should have emotional capacity for, is to work a job and make a paycheck. And isn't that enough? Because I am essentially providing for my family. I am doing a good thing. And in the process, even of men working a job and providing for their family, they are teaching their sons, their daughters work ethic.
Yeah.
They are teaching them something, but we have to push past, men need to push past this thing of like, I'm only going to work to provide.
It's the proverbial, like, me wake up, me go work, me bring money, me come home, me sit, you give me dinner, me wake up,
You'd be in trouble.
me do it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, basically, men are pretty waffle brain, and they pretty much think like that. And I don't think my caveman impression is impressive at all.
No, it's not.
But it proves the point that men have a tendency, and I'm a man, so I can bash men a little bit if I want to. We have a tendency to cap out, because it is stressful to work and to provide, or it can be, to work and to provide. And there sometimes feels like there's a little bit of a physical and emotional limit there. And some days there just is, and
Right.
you just can't do anymore. Like, that's
Right.
just all there is. I mean, we've had days, my job isn't physical now, but I mean, I've had days to where I've spent 14 hours in meetings with people. When I come home, we're gonna eat dinner and I'm pretty much done. Like,
You've
that,
emotionally
but
capped out.
it can't be that way all the time, right?
Right.
And so, you have to come home. Men have to come to this place to where they emotionally break through, and as far as communication and whatever, break through, find the energy, and make sure you invest into the most important part of your life with more than just money.
Right.
You've been gone all day. Dads, they need you to be present when you're home.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be full on 100% all day long every day. That nobody's asking that. But you do have to come to this place to where you conform to where they're at the moment. It doesn't mean you conform what's right and wrong, but
Right.
there's a place for laying up for your children. And sometimes that means, and I mean, I've had this hit me recently, like our youngest one, like he wants to go fishing all the time. I actually don't really love to fish anymore. And I don't really want to get my hands smelling like fish. And I don't typically want to sit outside. I want to sit inside where the temperature is conditioned the way that I like it. But he'll be like, Dad, can you take me fishing? Because he's not allowed to go by himself to the water, which is right on our part. And so I have to be like, sure. And you're better at it than I am, honestly. But that's laying down ourselves at the moment. And what are you doing for your child when you say yes to them in those moments? You may not be able to do it all the time, but what are you saying to your child? You're communicating, I love you and I value you, and the things that you like and the things that you look forward to, those are important things.
Because most of the time, you don't even have to technically figure out what it is that you're going to do. They're going to tell you how they want you to emotionally connect with them.
Yeah,
because they're going to
sometimes
ask.
it is difficult because I've gone through streaks with our second son right now. I have the most difficult time connecting with him more than any other one right now, because all he wants to do is outdoor stuff. And I used to love it. I just don't like doing it anymore because it's just work. It just feels like a lot of work to me. Well, if it feels like work, so be it. He's worth it.
That's right.
He's worth it. So, yeah, be present. The power of being present. There's more power in being present with, especially dads, with your kids than probably what you'll ever know in this life. But it really matters.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Family by Design. I pray that you were blessed as you listened to the word of the Lord for your life today. I want to encourage you to go on and leave us a review and a 5-star rating. If this ministry is blessing you, go to our website at www.wartmen.org. There you can find more resources, and you can also consider partnering with this ministry. If you like what we're doing, we just pray that you would at least join us in prayer and consider supporting us financially as we take the gospel deep into the hearts of people. Gospel preached, hearts awakened, and nations reformed.